he's about to demonstrate why. And it's a very jammy so-and-so because he's got the blue gap just where he needs it. So the aircraft was designed in 43-44 to actually take over from the Hellcat. And the problem in 1944 was the kamikaze aircraft in the Western Pacific. And what they needed was an aircraft that could get airborne off the carrier, suck its gear up, stay at full power, point the nose up and climb at least 4,000 to 5,000 feet a minute to intercept the kamikaze aircraft coming in and taking out the US Navy ships. And that's exactly what they managed to do with the Bearcat. They took exactly the same engine that was fitted to the Hellcat and the Corsair, that same R2800, which you've also seen demonstrated in the P-47 earlier on today. And they basically took the absolute minimum airframe they could actually attach to the back of the engine, little wings, little fuselage, made it as light as possible. And this is the actual result. Incredibly light, but very, very powerful. And I think it still holds, I can be corrected, I think it still holds the class of aircraft, time to height, should I say. It makes 10,000 feet in probably less than 2 minutes. And Pete is demonstrating that capability right now, and he's probably actually only using continuous military power. I can see with a very short wingspan, it means that the aircraft rolls very quickly. Pete's got a long track record of winning aerobatic competitions. Back in the 60s and 70s, I hasten to add, but Pete won't want me to say that. But it takes all of those aerobatic capabilities, and in the aircraft of this capability, incomparable, I would say. You will not see a warbird entering an air display doing a full vertical roll pretty much anywhere else, I don't think. Interesting fact number 23 about the Bearcat, they were quite worried about the amount of stress that the wings are under when given an aircraft with that much power and speed, and the first design of the aircraft incorporated the outer 2 feet of the wingtips having explosive bolts on them, such that if the pilot pulled too hard, the explosive bolts would activate and blow off the outer 2 feet of the wingtips, thereby reducing the stress on the wings. But when they put it up for test, the wingtips often didn't come off symmetrically, which made the problem doubly worse, so they bin that idea. Probably just as well for the Japanese Air Force, but sadly for the US Navy, the aircraft actually was on carriers being taken out to the Pacific as the atomic bomb was dropped in Japan. So sadly, let's not go there. The aircraft was never used in World War II. And unfortunately, as good as it was, of course, it was overtaken by the jet engine. So the US Navy, basically most of them went straight into training after 1945. So they were, you can imagine a young 18-year-old ensign who just learned to fly on T-6s, given one of these to play with. But they were in the training command until I think the early 50s. And in actual fact, the very first air display team the US Navy put together, the Blue Angels, which are obviously famous now for their flying with their dark blue F-18s in the States. The first aircraft they used was a Bearcat. They had 4 ship, which ran for I think about 2 or 3 years before they started flying their first jets. The Thai Air Force used them for a while again in operations against rebels, etc. But as I say, it was generally outmoded by the jet. As Pete comes around for the passes, Brian, wave at Brian as he taxis in the yellow-nosed Corsair. Super job leading those Corsairs, Brian. And again in front of the crowd, the second Corsair, that's Baptiste, taxiing his aircraft in, the one from France. He'll be taking his helmet off, having a bit of a rub down, and then walking down the crowd line because he's flying the Mark 14 Spitfire later on in our Spitfire parade.
Wow. I can fly that.
Pete now doing one of his rolls, a hesitation roll. Looks like about 16 points in that hesitation roll. Again, demonstrating the fabulously powerful ailerons on the Bearcat.
How's the negative G performance with the Bearcat, Mark? Do you know idea? Obviously, he pitched up high for that hesitation roll. Didn't look like a lot of negative G, but does it have negative G performance?
I think probably the airframe is stressed for negative G. It's the engine that doesn't like it. Most of these aircraft, you'll see, are kept under positive G at all times. The aircraft you're going to see Melanie Arsenal's later on flying her in her crazy aerobatic aeroplane, the red and white and blue one in front of us. They have negative oil systems, so they have oil pumping up to the bearings, even negative. And I think that was probably Pete's goodbye flyby. He's going to join downwind and land. Absolutely superlative display, I think you'll agree, and a little round of applause for Mr. Peter Kinsey.
Yeah, that was incredible.